some widely accepted bad advice. Story 1, don't call the morning after a good first date. It makes you seem desperate. That solid relationships are built on honest communication. If you're excited to see someone again, let them know. Be yourself. It's sometimes okay to not be yourself. TBH, I'm actually short-tempered. If I always be myself, I would find myself in an argument in minutes at it, Mom. I'm famous. Thanks for the updates, people. Story 2, when a job interviewer asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years? A great response is in your position. No, this is not a great response, as it make you sound arrogant and full of yourself. Story 3, looks don't matter. As someone that's ugly, I find that mildly offensive. Looks get your foot in the door. Personality gets you in. Having a great personality only works if you're moderately attractive. People also treat others different based on whether they're hot or not. My best friend is typically attractive, and the amount of times people have talked over me only to listen raptly to my friend is not even funny anymore. Treat others with respect. Yes, even us ugly ones. Story 4, never go to bed angry. I hear people say it all the time, and people accept it as if it's gospel, but often a good night's sleep and a chance to let your cortisol drop so you can get out of your reptilian brain and return to reason is really what you need. Do not stay up all night trying to resolve some issue when you're furious and exhausted. Go ahead and go to bed angry. Story 5, follow your dreams. It is too vague. I want to be an actress, and then not explaining the steps or other obscure jobs kind of leads to a kid dreaming and not doing much, then growing up confused. I still think people should follow their passions in life, do what they love, and find motivation in everything, but I hate follow your dreams. It sounds like something you'd hear a whimsical fairy say. It is meaningless, dreamy, and unproductive today, in my opinion. Story 6, tip your head back when you have a nosebleed. Never do this. You will swallow a ton of blood, and it will make you sick. Sit down, lean forward, and apply an ice pack and gentle pressure to the bridge of your nose on both sides of the bone. Do not pinch your nostrils shut. Just put pressure on the bone. Catch dripping blood with tissues or whatever. Story 7, you have to go to college. No. College is one option. There are several other options. Trade school, apprenticeship, workforce, military, volunteering, whatever. You have to do what's right for you, not what others are incentivized to tell you. College was right for me, and I was able to pay off my loans within 5 years of graduating because I was fortunate to use my degree to obtain a job in my field fairly quickly. That doesn't mean it's right for my cousin, who is a welder and making gobs of money, being an expert on his own schedule. Story 8, fake it till you make it. Having a bunch of narcissistic jerks acting like they know what they're doing and screwing things up is not improving anyone's life, including their own. Story 9, come on now. Give granddad a hug, or think you don't love him anymore. Don't take that promotion. You'll make less money if you get a raise. Overtime will put you in a new tax bracket, and you'll actually make less, etc. We really should teach this kind of stuff in school, because it's scary how many people don't understand how tax brackets work. Story 10, money doesn't buy happiness. While yes, it isn't guaranteed to make you happy, I would bet you wouldn't at all be happy if you were homeless. Or if you had average income, you would likely be more happy, simply because you're not living without taking showers. You can live in comfort and be clean. People seem to think that just cause lots of rich people are lonely and dicks, that means that money means nothing with happiness. Well, it definitely does. Story 11, do what you love is terrible career advice for at least 2 reasons. 1, work, by definition, involves doing things that other people pay you for. It's about what's valuable to them, not about what's valuable to you too. Most people enjoy doing the same things, art, sports, academics, for instance, because these activities recognize excellence, or at least appear to. They're lottery-level competitive because they attract large numbers of unusually talented, unusually motivated people. 3, usually, although not always, doing a thing that you enjoy on other people's terms makes it a lot less enjoyable. I sure like eating, but not eating what, when, and how much other people tell me to. Most careers don't separate excellence from competence. There's no point all other things being equal, e.g., seniority. The best nurse at your hospital or teacher at your school makes the same amount as the one who's just good enough not to get fired. Better advice, play the money game on easy mode, so you have the time and energy to lean into things you enjoy. That means 1, do something that other people will pay you for, and B, that you can easily do well enough. Make meeting your needs, food, healthcare, housing, childcare, and education, as easy as possible. 2, exercise your passions, writing, basketball, music, whatever, to whatever degree your interest and talent allows. Get good at being lucky, and when you see an opportunity, take your shot. Sell that book, record that album, start that Twitch stream, and let it grow towards the opportunities that interest you instead of expecting it to pay your bills. Story 12, study whatever you want in college that interests you. Unless you have scholarship money, wealthy and giving parents, etc., you shouldn't, example, go to a private art college to study printmaking. My ex-GF did that, and she'll be in debt her whole life. You can study whatever you want, but you don't have to borrow 100K to pursue what you love. Story 13, telling anyone with mental health issues, unilaterally, to fix them via meditation mindfulness. Why I feel it often doesn't work. BC, I know this advice is usually offered in good faith. Remember that meditation and mindfulness are both skills that need time and energy to cultivate. So even if they are helpful, and I do use both to help manage my own, it's not helpful advice to give someone so deep in depression, mental illness that they have neither. In my experience, it feels like reaching out and saying, I'm drowning, and someone responds, well, why don't you just learn how to swim? The real advice people often need is exactly how and where to seek help, which will go a much longer way. Story 14, when people tell you to forgive someone that hurt you, nobody knows the borders of your pain better than you do. You're the only one who knows when you'll be ready to forgive somebody, or maybe you will never be ready. Maybe you don't even want to see that person ever again, and that doesn't make a drama queen who feel that is the most important thing in a room. No, but you're the only thing that matters in your life. Story 15, that no doesn't always mean no. Man if your woman, or woman if your man says no, don't do anything that crosses over the boundary unless you receive a clear signal from them to do so. Story 16, never kick a man when they're down. Sure, maybe in a metaphorical sense, but if you're in a fight, you fight to win. We're also told to never give up on your dreams, but there's also quit when you're ahead. Story 17, when pickup artists convince people that being rude and cruel to the opposite will win their affection. Following that advice leads down a very lonely and desperate road. Story 18, there's plenty of fish in the sea. It's often poorly timed, i.e., after a breakup, and it can make the feelings worse. Also, just because there are a lot of available people doesn't change the fact that a monogamous relationship is only with that one person whom they desire, not some other fish out there. Story 19, ignore bullies, and they will stop. Remove yourself in a situation, stand up to bullies, and they will stop. Tell them off, and they will stop. No, and no, ignore bullies. They will up the assault. You try ignoring people you're legally required to be near. Not so easy now, is it? If your parents ever tell you this, tell them you'll perform a little empathy exercise. To do this, you must make annoying noises or repeatedly poke them or harass them. And they cannot tell you to stop or punish you because they're supposed to be ignoring you and up the assault like your bullies will. If they snap and tell you to shut up or stop, say, congratulations, you have successfully demonstrated empathy towards my situation with bully. You saw that simply ignoring me did not stop me from trying to get your attention. Now, how shall we continue moving forward with this problem? Remove yourself from the situation, engage in malicious compliance, and walk out of school or class. This is what you were told to do, no? Stand up or tell them to off. Only works on TV. I'm afraid. In reality, they come back this time with a weapon and/or reinforcements. And this is assuming they don't just change their tactics. Here are some better things to ask. What do I do when they come back with a weapon? No, a lawyer. We need to press assault charges, only under the condition that if I retaliate, I am exempt from punishment at home because I followed your advice. If I stand up for myself and am punished, I will learn your advice means nothing and I should not listen. So when do they actually stop? Because they haven't. And this is when it comes to in-person. Cyberbullying is in fact real. And no, blocking doesn't do jack shit. Story 20, turn your car's air conditioner to low to save gas. I heard this on the news the other for tips we can use to be green. Your car's air conditioner is either on or off. It doesn't matter the temp you set it to or how hard the fan is blowing. Story 21, work hard. Really, only working hard is not a good advice at all. People literally break themselves working hard. You must plan first, use your brain, gather more confidence, stay healthy and fit, meditate, and work what you must. Story 22, choose a job you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. You can have a not fun job if it makes up for it with pay time that you can spend doing what you actually love. I don't love programming, but I love that it gives me the perks to do basically whatever I want. Story 23, you should forgive people who hurt you because you need forgiveness to heal. This is simply not true. People who say this usually don't give about you healing. They just want you to be nice to people who hurt you, especially when it's family. Story 24, never give up. The ugly truth is that a lot of times you should give up. Childhood dreams are next to impossible to achieve if your parents aren't extremely rich. I always wanted to be a writer. I don't usually toot my own horn, but I was pretty good at it. But most novel writers aren't famous or make that much. I now drive trains, and it's a better choice for me. My dream was silly, and it's good I realized that early. Story 25, if you cannot pay your credit card debts, forget it and deny any payments. It sucks that people give heed to such pieces of advice. Never do that. And if you imagine yourself landing in such a situation, better not to have a credit card in the first place. Story 26, you get rewarded for staying loyal to your company. Absolute BS. If you're underpaid, poor management, taken advantage of, etc., look for another job. In fact, don't stop looking for better jobs once you get a job. Yes, you might get some reward, but overall the raises aren't much, and neither are benefits in most careers. Don't be afraid to job hop. Story 27, change yourself for other people's approval. Look, it's one thing if you're abrasive AF, but my parents basically tried to get me to stop watching cartoons when I was in middle school because you would be tormented less. They don't torment me because they smell someone watching cartoons. They tormented me because they knew the administration had less sympathy for me and they could get away with it. If they touched the kid in the wheelchair, administration would spawn on top of them like cops in Cyberpunk 2077. If I liked what they did, they would still torment me, and I would be miserable. Story 28, just get any job. Just go back to the 1950s where this advice belongs. You have to bug the business, so they see they have to hire you. No, this will get you kicked out for harassment. Send your resume application in online. Job hopping is disloyal, LOL. Are you even trying any more, boomer? Story 29, I think we've gone a little bit overboard recently with the set boundaries. Cut people off if you have to, and only ever interact with people on your own terms mentality. Boundaries are necessary and healthy, but I feel like a lot of people have gone to an unhealthy extreme where they just aren't willing to sacrifice or even inconvenience themselves in any way for the sake of maintaining relationships with other people, familial, platonic, and romantic alike. And I think it's irreparably damaging our connection to each other. Story 30, you can be anything you want, you absolutely cannot. What you can be is determined by your skills, your dedication, and your opportunities. Recognizing your limitations is healthy. Story 31, if you like someone, be persistent. Show them how much they like you, and they will go out with you at some point. Do no, respect the first no. If they don't like you, nothing you do will make them like you. Story 32, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. No, you will not land among the stars. You will drift forever, maybe in the general direction of a star, which will be at least 10 light years from you, and you're lucky. Also, the sky's not the limit. The limit is the edge of the universe, if there's such a thing at all. Story 33, you can't love others until you love yourself. This basically says that you should stay lonely if you hate yourself. Figure out your self-esteem issues alone. And if a relationship doesn't work out while your self-image is in shambles, it's your fault. Sure, some people need to take a break from dating in order to find out who they really are, but this is terrible blanket advice. It should be if the person you are with doesn't help you love yourself, then they aren't worth being with, but like, catchier. Story 34, putting wet electronics in rice to dry out. Never do it. The starch from the rice will leach into your device, and now you have a gummed-up device. Just let it dry out slowly with the power off. It's the sediment and minerals left behind that cause issues. If you're really concerned, wash through with alcohol or deionize pure water and let it dry. Story 35, if you're hungry, drink water. No. I would follow this religiously when I was at my worst with my ED. Let me tell you, if you're hungry, eat something your body is communicating with you. Don't ignore it. If you needed water, you would feel parched, dry mouth. Story 36, the life script, college and marriage, children, yes, with white picket fence and grandchildren, retirement. No, you don't need all those things to find true happiness. Just live your life however it makes you happy. Story 37, nobody can stop you if you work hard. You're right. Kids of influential and rich people will always be ahead of you without working even 10 as hard as you'll have to. Plus, if you start proving to be a threat to them, they can always use their contact to end your career. Story 38, I guess the fake it till you make it. I get that for some people it works, but it's kind of hard for me to lie to myself to the point of believe in it or make others believe in it. Also the fact that you're still faking and that at some point someone will notice. Story 39, if you're depressed or anxious, you need to exercise more. Go exercise. The idea that exercise is a catch-all cure for mental illness symptoms is a product of diet culture, among other things. Sure, part of self-care is body movement, but that does not mean you need to go to the gym to be healthy. Physical activity encompasses so much more than just going on a walk or going to a gym to exhaust your body. Healing includes listening to your body when it tells you what it needs, even if that includes skipping a day of exercise. Story 40, surely someone is made for you. If you cannot find a partner, there is a legit problem, and it shall be solved, and sugar coating the harsh reality will make it worse for the sufferer. Story 41, when people teach their kids to be the bigger man or turn the other cheek, it is just plain cruel to teach your kids that they cannot defend themselves. If you teach your kids this stuff, then you are responsible for them getting hurt, because it will happen. If kids don't stand up for themselves, matters only get worse. The bullying will get worse, and their peers will start to avoid them to avoid getting bullied. Kids can't change their environments as easy as adults can. When they're bullied at school and then have parents at home that tell them not to fight back, they will feel like they have no escape. This is bad parenting, but so many parents still do it. Story 42, don't make friends at work. That's like telling your kids not to make friends at school. You spend a third of your life at work and a third sleeping, so you have such little time to make friends if you follow that advice. I feel this advice just leads to more lonely adults. Story 43, late to the party. But the whole college is a necessity thing. I was fortunate enough to get an athletic scholarship and had the foresight to know I'd be going pro in something other than sports. So I took full advantage of my opportunity and majored in a field that guaranteed me a job after graduation. I have plenty of friends that joined the IBW or got their welding certificate right after high school and make just as much or more than I do with even more job security. It's insanity to think $100K in debt is a viable option for an 18-year-old kid. Story 44, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Doing the same thing over and over is called practice, and outcomes improve with practice. Story 45, time heals all wounds. No, it does not. In plenty of cases, it's more like leaving a severed limb untreated. You'll end up feeling worse about something if you never learn to rectify it. And this ignores how not everything is forgivable. Story 46, they're just mean to you because they like you, yeah. That's basically teaching your kid that if someone mistreats them, it is a sign of affection. Teach them not to tolerate disrespect, and that if the person really likes them, they would treat them nicely. This goes for boys and girls, and anyone. Edit fixed a bad typo. Story 47, telling women to, you don't need to, you never needed to. In fact, it hurts your vagina. Your vagina is not dirty. Misogyny and shame created the idea of douching. Story 48, build credit with a credit card. Please, I think this is bad advice. Especially because the people who need to build credit probably don't know how dangerous it can be. I don't know many 18-year-olds who are financially responsible. Story 49, buy a house as soon as you can. Renting is setting your money on fire. Total bullshit. Evaluate your needs and where you want to be in X years. Renting is sometimes a far smarter option than anchoring yourself to a house. Story 50, learn to throw a punch. When giving advice on how to defend yourself, the truth is, throwing a correct punch takes a lot of time to learn, and it takes very little deviation from what's correct for you to end up breaking your hand rather than damaging your opponent, especially in the heat of confrontation. Elbow strikes are not only much easier to learn and much more intuitive, but they're also viciously powerful. I've seen a bar fight with someone taking 2 to 3 punches to the face, and the other guy broke his hand in the process. Fearing for his life with a broken hand, he rammed his elbow in his opponent's face, and he went down instantly. Major facial fracture, broken nose, and 3 teeth knocked out. Your ulnar forearm bone is basically like a club with a sharp point at the end. If you're ever in a pinch, chances are your opponent is too close for a proper punch. So if you can't run away, use your elbow. It's a much more natural range of motion to use your whole body weight with your elbow as well. Even if the guy blocks your elbow strike, ITLL, still do a lot damage to their hand, forearm, and there's very little chance of you damaging your own elbow. Story 51, respect is earned, not given. Yeah, maybe to a certain extent, but there's a certain baseline of respect that you should give to everyone you interact with. People just use this quote as an excuse to be. Story 52, it can't hurt to ask. Sometimes it can when I see you as someone trying to get out of their responsibilities, and I have to recommend you for a job later on, or when it makes me realize you don't understand the basics of what you should be doing. Don't put willful ignorance or laziness on display. Ask when appropriate, not as a get out of anything you're supposed to do card. Story 53, follow your passion. That passion is a result of being good at something that has a real market value. Not something you start with. You're never too old to, actually. Ageism exists, biology exists, the sacrifices you have to make when you're old are astronomical in comparison to when you were young. Want to go back to school FT, take a 4-year degree as a 35-year-old woman, but you desperately want to get married, have children. Bonus point is when I want to buy a home, have 21K in CC debt. Listen, I get, in theory, going back to school or school in general is supposed to secure us these great paying jobs. Open your eyes. That's a young person's game. Story 54, innocent until proven guilty. If you ever get accused of wrongdoing by cops, IRS, FBI, etc., you're not innocent until proven guilty. You need to spend many thousands of dollars, copious amounts of time, and tons of energy to prove your innocence. Story 55, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. First of all, for many people, this sets unrealistic expectations of what will actually earn you a living. Secondly, it demeans work that may not be what you love, but is nevertheless rewarding. Thirdly, The nature of what you love to do changes once it becomes an actual job. You may stop loving it so much. Story 56, follow your heart and dreams. While I do believe that passion for what you do is important, you can't just step blindly into whatever you want. Plans, passion are never a bad idea. Story 57, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. What I love is 100 not going to get me paid nearly as much as I do doing what I dislike. Doing what I like doesn't feed my kids. It's okay to have a job and be meh about it. You don't have to love your career, it's work. Story 58, do your own research. Nope, I will gladly listen to an engineer about structural soundness of a bridge, an attorney about viable legal options, and an MD about health items. Instead of doing your own misguided research, find out who TH experts are and listen to them. Story 59, girls, don't make the first move. It makes you look desperate. Gotta go for what you want in life to have less regrets in the future. I believe the same goes for relationships. Story 60, better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. I know people that wish they could erase some pretty awful relationships from their mind. Story 61, just live in a moment or live every day like it's your last. I feel like any advice that says just do blank is bad advice. Living in the moment, YOLO, every day like it's your last, all of those are trash. Not only does this lead to extreme impulsivity, but I feel like it's a super passive way to live your life. Almost an entitled mindset that your destiny will just fall into place. How can one set any real goals? Also, it's okay to just sit around and do absolutely nothing every now and then, or live a regular day. Story 62, debt is bad. There's a reason every major company has it. I guess the best way I can explain it is with an example. You have 1,000 in savings, you get a hospital bill for 1,000, scenario 1, you pay in cash and have 0 in savings now. A random expense of 1 or more comes up. You get to pay overdraft fees, get chime. They'll spot you up to 200. Or you go into high interest debt because it's your only option. Scenario 2, you arrange to pay off the 1,000 you owe over time. Sometimes you could do this with no interest, but let's just assume there is, and it's 5. Let's say over 12 months, you'll pay $87.50 a month. As you were walking out of the hospital, a $525 expense fell from the sky. Now you only have the first 6 months worth of payments. You'll still have 6 months of payments as a buffer, even if you can't scrape together the other $525, and you have to go into high interest debt. It'll be easier to pay off $525 than it would be $1050, saving you money in the long run. Plus, the first 6 months might just be enough payment history to help you apply for a loan, hopefully with a lower interest rate. So in scenario 1, any extra expense could cost you, whereas scenario 2 gives you a cushion of protection in case anything else happens and ultimately lowers the amount you owe. In interest note, 500 at 10 is 551,000 at 10 is 1,100. So in this scenario, you save money and interest payments. Hope this was helpful. Story 63, a while back, there were Drake memes going around with a bad panel saying, being nice to waiters because they're handling your food, and the good panel saying, being nice to waiters because they're trying their best. But I always hated this. You should be nice to waiters because you should be nice to everyone. Story 64, you're perfect just the way you are. You're seriously not, and you probably know it too. You could be better. Work towards it. Imagine telling that to a child or a teenager. There's probably a lot about their life that they dislike, but an adult told them they are perfect. That would this is perfection. Story 65, boys will be boys. No, Karen, your son is a little tyrant taught to be entitled, and you need to get the off your phone so you can actually parent your child. Same goes for your little princess that is so spoiled, she's beyond the rotten stage. Story 66, follow your heart, often leads people to overinvest in decisions clouded by infatuation, and oftentimes the person who's causing the infatuation isn't actually that great for their future. Story 67, I have worked retail for years and currently work at Walmart. The worst advice, in my opinion, is the customer's needs always comes first. No, they do not. Your safety and the safety of your coworkers come first. If a customer wants a product that is out of reach and you're not allowed to use a ladder on the sales floor during opening hours, then you need to tell them you can't get it for them. My team lead was the person to tell me this. Your safety always comes before customer needs. And if they don't like that, then it says a lot about who they are as a person. Story 68, think positively. Some situations aren't positive, and it's better to be realistic about it. So much bad advice stems from encouraging people to be ashamed of perfectly natural emotions. The brain can't be programmed like a computer. Story 69, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. Whoever came up with this rubbish doesn't know that the damage done by words can be far worse than sticks and stones. Story 70, just this idea that the goal of life should be to get a good job by the standards that it just provides you with dental or whatever, that do what you really want to do. Don't let yourself fall short of that. Get a degree. Story 71, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I know people who do exactly what they wanted, and let me tell you, about 5 years and they now hate the thing they love. A job is a job, and ITLL eventually be ruined for the majority of people. The happiest workers I know was not following their dreams, but just walked into a place that needed them for their talents. One of the happiest person I have met works with wastewater. He wanted to be firefighter and could not pass the physical. Story 72, in a kid's case. Stand up to your bully. The kids that are the victims, but do that nowadays, are the ones who get crucified, and the school tries to get them a transfer instead of getting rid of the bully. Frustrating. Story 73, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I mean, really, I can think of many things that don't necessarily kill you, but will make your life miserable for years to come, and who knows if you will make it to the end in that situation.